Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Just the obligatory few seconds for people to file in, and then I'll introduce our speakers. Good evening, those of you just joining us. Good evening, great to have you with us. Just waiting for the numbers to stabilize. Do drop a note into the chat and tell us where you're joining from this evening. Numbers just stabilizing now. So yeah, thanks again. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andy Tucker, the MD at Naturetrek. I'm joining you from just outside Southampton in Hampshire, England this evening, and I'm joined by two great friends and colleagues, Byron Palacios, who's from Ecuador. Byron's been in the UK for 20 years or so. He joins us live from Dorchester, Dorset this evening. And Manuel Sanchez, who some of you will recognize if you've been on tour in Ecuador. Manuel's in Quito, the capital of Ecuador this evening. Great to have you two with us this evening, Byron and
Thank you,
Manuel.
Andy. Thank you.
Hi, Andy.
So,
Hi, everyone.
yeah, great to have you with us. Our thoughts with everybody affected by the crisis in the Middle East. Our lives in the Naturetrek office have been turned upside down since Saturday lunchtime. Feel for everybody affected directly. I'm not going to touch on the operational difficulties this evening. Suffice to say that if you have any questions on travel, Naturetrek tours, holidays you might be booked on, traveling through the Middle East over to the subcontinent or even to the Eastern Mediterranean this spring, Cyprus, Crete, etc., you're very welcome indeed to contact the Naturetrek office and we will help with any questions you have. The operations team are working around the clock at the moment. We have a group out in Oman who are having a good time, but they're due back from Muscat on the 10th. And we are dealing with quite a few people en route to, already in, or en route home from India. And with the main airports in the Middle East, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Doha all essentially shut, it's creating some quite major logistical challenges. But you're very welcome to contact us. The focus of tonight's webinar is Ecuador, a country very special to my heart. I lived there for a year back in 97, 98, and I've had a wonderful time working on product for Naturetrek in the 25 years or so since. I've asked Byron tonight, first up, to focus on northwest Ecuador, the Mindo area, cloud forests, the high Andes, and the lowlands of the Amazon, covering the bulk of our tour product in Ecuador. So the Cock of the Rock tour, the Go Slow in Ecuador tour, our flagship Andes and Amazon tour, and also the festival, our 40th anniversary festival, which you'll be leading later in 2026 down at Napo Wildlife Centre. Manuel will follow on directly after that. And I've asked Manuel to cover a really exciting part of southern Ecuador, which is actually where his family's from. And he's going to be talking about our Jocotoco Antpitta tour, which was very successful and popular for us until Guayaquil in southwest Ecuador had a bout of civil unrest back in January 2024. A TV crew was held up at gunpoint and the British Foreign Office slapped a no-go zone, warning against non-essential travel to the city of Guayaquil and the coastal provinces of Guayas and El Oro. So we've taken our travel advice and reshaped, and we're about to relaunch that tour, and it's going to be back as good as ever. And Manuel's going to talk you through that new itinerary. Now, before I hand over to Byron, I will just share my screen and show you the current travel advice for Ecuador, because in the current world climate, the geopolitical climate, a question we often get asked with regard to travel to South America is it safe? Do I need to worry about anything when I'm over there? And our answer is, as a tour operator, we will stick religiously to Foreign Office travel advice. And the reason for that is very simple. First of all, your safety and security is our number one priority. But more practically, if as a tour operator, we stray into the areas in orange on my screen there, which is where the Foreign Office advises against all non-essential travel, a holiday clearly being non-essential, and something were to happen to a bus or a client or people being held hostage, If we've gone against Foreign Office travel advice, then basically our liability insurance, public liability insurance, would be invalidated, as would your own personal travel insurance policies, which is why if you book with a tour operator, a licensed, bonded, responsible one, you will never, ever venture into those orange areas. So Byron tonight, if you can see my mouse, he's going to be talking about largely Pichincha province up here to the northwest of Quito, then the Andes, and then the Amazon rainforest. And Manuel, when he comes on a little bit later, he's not going to be venturing into Guayas and Eroro, which is where our Jocotoco Antpitta tour used to go. Instead, he'll be in Quito, flying straight down to Catamayo, just outside Loja. And then our tour will be spent entirely in the provinces of Loja and Zamora. So that just sets the scene as far as security is concerned. So that's it for me. Over to Byron and then Manuel directly afterwards. Once the two chaps are finished, we'll have a period for questions and answers. There's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, which you're very welcome to put any questions into. You can also use a chat for questions, and I'll be picking those up towards the end of the evening. So I'll go on to mute, Byron, and hand over to you if you would like to start sharing your screen, please.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much. Just go on this again.
How are you getting on, Byron?
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Here we are. Okay. Can you all see me, Andy? Could you confirm?
No, you're just sharing your Zoom screen at the moment. You need to find your PowerPoint and share that. Where's your PowerPoint gone? Just bear with us, please, folks. Just a slight technical glitch. It seems like you've closed down your PowerPoint window, Byron.
Do it again.
Well, something you can still hear, right?
Yeah, I can still hear you, but you're not showing your screen now.
Okay. Okay, are we there now?
Yeah, just flick into slideshow mode.
Yep. Excellent.
Right, off you go. Thanks.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody, and very welcome to this fantastic talk and webinar about a special place or country land, Ecuador. I'm Byron Palacios. Some of you might be in past occasions with me. As Andy well said, I'm from Ecuador, been leading trips for Naturetrek since October 2001. And also assisting as a wildlife consultant down in the office headquarters in Hampshire with plenty of things in portfolio amongst Europe and the Americas as well. So I'm going to talk to you about this fantastic country, Ecuador, which I'm very proud of always to talk about. And if you've been here before, it's a tiny little country, slightly bigger than Britain, which is sandwiched by Colombia and Peru. In fact, all the when people ask me about mega diversity, Always, and not this is not. I think Manuel and Andy agree with me in this. It's not because we're from Ecuador, but the mega diversity in the world is concentrated between Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. That little northwestern corner of South America holds everything in thousands, all the habitats you could imagine, and it's obviously been blessed by the Andean corridors, which is the massive Andes, which created all these fantastic habitats and microhabitats all along from north to south, western South America. Just to understand this a little bit, to you and to make you understand what we're talking about of these habitats and lives, and I created this back in my early years, this very simple graphic about Ecuador. So you've got the Andes splitting the country in basically two slopes, the western slope, Pacific, and the eastern slope where the Amazon basin is. And you have from the north down to south of the Andes, all across from north to south, these different 9 main habitats with a lot of microhabitats and other things in between going along. So altitude is paramount important, being Ecuador the highest spot, 6,400 meters down to the sea level on both sides. So we have an array of fantastic habitats as you are descending on either side. You go, from the snow area down to the Paramo, temperate forest, mountain forest, which splits in other lovely microhabitats. The cloud forest is subtropical zone, splitting upper and lower. Then you got the foothills as the sort of buffer bit before the lowlands. Obviously, within the lowlands in the Pacific coast, we have influences from the Tumbesian region in the southwest, plus dry tropical forest, mangrove, and the Choco region.
Byron, can I just butt in a second? You've got a little bar across the bottom of your graphic there. It says the app Zoom is sharing your screen.
Yeah,
And then you can click on it. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. Sorry about that, folks. And also on the Amazon basin on the eastern lowlands, you've got variations of habitats in the terra firma, Barcia forest, wetland islands across these lovely rivers, and that creates all these fantastic habitats and biodiversity. Now, the region, apart from these habitats, are split in four in Ecuador. You've got the island region, which is Galapagos, then the coast region, the Sierra or the highlands, and the Amazon basin. When we start our trips, normally being based in Quito, we take a little short flight of 35 minutes down to Coca, down in Francisco de Orellana province, down in the Amazon, overlooking all this fantastic flat, endlessly green land, and navigating by all these wide forests that creates all this it's like an avenue of water along. And one of our main bases there, we use a few lodges down in the sheer Amazon, but one of the great places that we share and go is the Napo Wildlife Center, and this is where our upcoming 40th anniversary festival is taking place. And to my personal opinion, it's possibly one of the best lodges in the Americas, wildlife lodges in the Americas. It's just a fantastic location right at the heart of the Yasuni National Park, with all these fantastic Oxbow lakes, and the accommodation is just pristine. The other lodges we use, Sacha Lodge, which is just across the river and the northern bounds of the Napo River, offers as well different infrastructure like these canopy towers, wooden towers like the one in Napo Wildlife Center, from where we can spend hours spotting wildlife from the canopy itself of the forest. You get fantastic colorful tanagers and groups of arasaris and toucans, woodpeckers, puffbirds, you name it. And then obviously in our sessions, when not walking along the trails in the jungle, we got into these lovely canals, paddling these boats, getting fantastic mammals, monkeys, birds, and very, very elusive herons and night monkeys like these ones, which are sometimes very cooperative during the day, where we can get fantastic views. Other species out of the 11 species of monkeys found in the Ecuadorian Amazon are golden mantle tamarin, endemic to the area. Then we have pygmy marmosets and equatorial, if we're lucky, equatorial saki monkey. All these beautiful things can be seen really easily while we're exploring these vast lakes and oxbow waters. Obviously, neotropical otters are quite well spread amongst Ecuador, but this is a good place to see them. And also the larger species of the otters, giant river otters, which is fantastic animal. They are really, really inquisitive and lovely. You can always get a good chance to see them across the lakes. One of the shows as well around is visiting these clay lakes, which gather a good amount of Psittacidae family, all the parrots, parakeets, Amazons, large parrots, macaws, that paint the whole rocky, salty banks of these waterfalls, full of colors, as you can see here, and the noise is spectacular. It's really, really a massive show, and then a massive blessed when we see all these fantastic species. And the best thing, especially for me, is to work out each species, because sometimes you can get very rare ones amongst all these common ones, like copper-winged parakeets, for example, very common, but sometimes you can get the odd rare species. So it's great to just sit there and enjoy all these fantastic animals. Then from the Amazon, which we normally spend between 3 and 5 nights, depending on the tour, we head back to the highlands. Now, there's 2 ways to go out: either flying back to Quito or driving up, making a few stops across the eastern slope. Sometimes we do Somaco, which is right in the foothills of the eastern slope of the Andes, or San Isidro Lodge, or we just go straight up to the temperate forest, which is right in the on the first side of the highlands, where we can find fantastic species like this mountain toucan, this black-billed mountain toucan. Beautiful things. One of my favorite group of birds. Very noisy, really hard to find, but when they're around, they're around. One of the very sought after species in all our trips are torrent ducks, which are plenty of rivers along or drive, exploration in the area to see them. And we often, all the patience and efforts looking every single rock and every single raft are paid off, like this beautiful pair, male and female here. Fantastic animal. Then climbing a little bit higher, we get on the well-known Avenue of Volcanoes, up in the heart of the Andes. Now, the central highlands of Ecuador are surrounded by nearly 27 volcanoes, 6 of them very active still. This is Cotopaxi, which is very active. In fact, 2 or 3 years ago was fuming and doing a sort of like a show around. That we got Antpitta volcano as well, which is it's an partially extinct volcano, which is always nearby and very conspicuous across the Northern Highlands. They create obviously fantastic lakes. For those, connecting from Scotland, you might find similarities in the landscape, around the lochs up in Scotland. But up here, we have this fantastic Paramo area with some elfin forest, temperate forest on the left, which is beautiful lakes. And gosh, the bird life around, it's well hidden, challenging, but fantastic to see. you get a fantastic array of mountain tanagers, which a lot of people enjoy. Tanagers in the neotropics, I think, is one of the most, apart from hummingbirds, one of the most attractive birds. And we can see a great array around here, alongside Antpittas, and Manuel very soon is going to tell you way more about it in our Antpitta tour. And but yeah, you could grab a good array of these fantastic birds over there, giant conebill and black-backed mountain tanager as well. It's just fantastic things to see around. And mammals. Mammals are difficult to see in the Andes, but we always being very lucky, and our mammal tours are quite good in terms to see sought after species like Andean bear or spectacled bear, pumas, which are much difficult to see, but sometimes we're quite lucky and we get to see one. Swordbill hummingbird, which is a bird which everyone wants to see, is the actual the photo doesn't any justice of the actual bird when you see it live. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, the locations we use around the high Andes are fantastic. We have these beautiful lodges with hot springs. This is Termas de Papallacta up in the Northern Highlands. Beautiful locations surrounded by the Antisana volcano, a lovely temperate and elfin forest with some paramo on the top. Wanga Lodge is another beautiful alternative down in the mountain, the upper mountain forest, which very nice, lovely food, nice rooms, very, very accommodating and hospitable surroundings. And again, beautiful wildlife around when we are taking our hikes or walks along these areas. Passing the highlands, we're going to drive, as Andy said, northwest of Quito into the well-known Choco region. Now, for those that haven't heard about the Choco region, it's an endemic area of high endemisms in the northwestern South America. We share this fantastic habitat with Colombia and Panama, and we have some fantastic array of birds. Most of it is very inhospitable and remote and hasn't been explored vastly, but it's an area that quite popular amongst our tours. Along the drive, which from Quito takes a good couple of hours, you can make some birding stops to see beautiful specialists of the Inter-Andean Valley, which is another exciting habitat we passed on the way to the northwest cloud forest, which is like this beautiful purple-colored wood star, and giant hummingbird, which is another sought-after bird and quite possible to see amongst these black cabuyo, green cabuyo, agave plants, especially those with lovely fresh flowers. They both of these hummingbirds love to feed on those, and actually sometimes we can see both on the same plant, and the contrast in size is absolutely brilliant. To give you an idea, the wood stars are quite tiny, just like the tiniest bee hummingbird in Cuba, if you had the chance to see that, but that's a wood star as well. And this is probably half of an inch, a bit bigger. And then you have the contrast of the giant hummingbird, which is the size of a swallow, just going around flower to flower, picking the flowers. Just a spectacular thing to see. Into the passing the Inter-Andean Valley and going into the subtropical area, we arrive to the upper and lower subtropical forest, evergreen, beautiful trees, and a whole sort of carpet of greenery along. And obviously, within this fantastic area, we've got amazing bird life. A lot of them just found here in the Choco region, in the northwest of Ecuador, like this beautiful toucan barbet, orange-throated fruit eater, Plainface tanager, you can find them on both slopes, but the subspecies here is very, very beautiful. And the western species of Andean cock of the rock, the sanguinolenta, very deep blood red, Ferrari red if you like it. But toucan barbets is always a very sought after bird in these northwestern areas. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, and they can come really, really close as they did for this photo. Another choco endemic, plate-bill mountain toucan. Again, I told you earlier on the mountain toucans are absolutely amazing birds and one of my favorite groups. And look at this one, absolutely gorgeous. Red-headed barbets shared on both slopes, very possible to see them along here as well. And exploring the forest itself in a lovely morning, you can see all this freshness and all this lush sort of greenery with clouds around. It's just a beautiful area. And amongst these clouds, you can find lovely quetzals. We have 3 species of quetzals in Ecuador. Crested, like you can see here on the left, red eye, very beautiful crest, puffy, tufted head, and golden-headed on the right. The other species, pavonine quetzal, that's possible in the Amazon, but possibly it's the hardest to see, but very possible in the Amazon. But these counterparts in the northwest, they're on both slopes, northeast and northwest, are pretty much easier to see, very possible. So you always get fantastic views of these gorgeous quetzals, beautiful birds. As I said earlier on, the tanagers are one of the jewels of the tropics, neotropics, and the exception is not really applied to this area where we have a huge array of them. Your eyes will go crazy, especially now with all these bird tables we have, these facilities and bird gardens we have in the area. You can easily see them very, very well, alongside hummingbirds, a lot of species of hummingbirds as well. Choco endemics, like this beautiful velvet purple coronet on the top right, and the violet-tailed sylph on the bottom right, and the tiny little butted racket-tail, beautiful birds, and Andean emerald on top, which we can share on both slopes. Again, the chances to photograph them are quite good, and we can spend hours and hours around these bird gardens, or even at our lodges where they have these feeder facilities to see them really close and well. Some of the mammals as well are really good to see. This is Cabeza de Mate of Tyre. Also the Olinguito, which unfortunately I didn't upload a photo of that, by the way. But it's also very possible to see Olinguitos, and it's no, this is Kinkayu. Kinkayus also are quite easy to see around. Facilities, all the lodges around there are beautiful, very, very cozy, very welcoming, with fantastic food and fantastic facilities, gardens around to walk and to have our free time enjoying these beautiful places. Then after exploring all these beautiful areas, you might have the chance to explore Quito, which is a beautiful, beautiful city in northern South America, and our capital. The old town is fantastic, lovely churches and beautiful buildings, colonial buildings, and its people. You can have a chance to see some indigenous around, which are very colorful. You have chances also we offer visits to the Otavalo market in the north for a full day, which is it's very well loved by our visitors, and sharing this after exploring the Amazon and these 2 slopes of the northern Andes of Ecuador, gives you a fantastic idea of the people around there as well. As we have a bit of time still, guys, I would like to talk to you about the Naturetrek Reserve. Now, we're going to focus on our 40th anniversary trip, It'll take place in Napo Wildlife Center, and we're going to offer extensions to the northwest of the Andes, which you're just seeing, all the Mindo Valley, and also a visit to our Naturetrek Reserve, located back in the down farther south in the central eastern Andes. Now, I can share you here in the map. I mean, we still, thanks to your carbon footprint money and all the profits that the company has invested in buying this land, in order to complete this corridor between two massive national parks, Sangay National Park, you have here in the south, and up here in the north, the Janganatis National Park. So the idea is to complete a corridor between these two massive national parks and to expand all these pristine habitat, and a lot of them untouched, a lot of them inaccessible. You can see it's pretty much predominantly a cloud forest from upper subtropical montane forest down to foothills and upper Amazonian basin forest. We visit with our founder David Mills last November, this beautiful reserve, and he definitely enjoyed exploring around. And we did a massive hike on this ridge right here. And this is the length we covered, and we couldn't go beyond because we needed hours. And I think Andy and myself, we need a little bit of more fitness as well. But yeah, we did enjoy walking through this fantastic pristine forest, which you will have the chance to see during our festival extension into this area. It's worth it. It's beautiful. You can see Andy here with our with Javier, one of our copers, IDs from our local Ecominga Foundation, which handles the whole fund and the whole woodland. And we can find absolutely amazing stuff. Still, a lot of things to discover, and has been discovered there. New species of amphibians, new species of orchids, and it will be great to share this with you during our festival in October and November. And I have a little footage here of these visitors, well, not visitors, this lovely spectacle bears or Andean bears that were on the top of that trail where we were about to reach to that point during our hiking exploration of the area. But we didn't really pretty much needed a bit more fitness and time to do it. But we're going to be exploring not particularly the Naturetrek Reserve, a little bit of the accessible bits of the reserve, but also the surrounding areas along the Pastaza, the river Pastaza main basin, which offers a fantastic array of birds and butterflies and orchids, and it's a beautiful area to visit. Just this very last little footage of the Andean bears in the Naturetrek Reserve, which you can see them as a family group feeding on the trees, and this happened one day before we visited the area, and we obviously were looking for them, but God knows where they were. Anyway, so it'll be great. It'll be great if we can find them again for you while we're visiting this beautiful area.
Thank you, Byron. Really enjoyed that. Brought out lots of memories. I didn't realise I was going to feature in your photos, but yeah, we had a tough hike that day, didn't we?
We did, indeed.
We had David Mills, who's a few years older than me, he's 66 now. He walks regularly. He put our fitness to shame, I'm afraid, on that day. Anyway, Manuel, if you can share your screen now, please, and we'll have a look at southern Ecuador and the realm of the Jocotoco Antpitta.
Yes, yes, I am just doing that. There is some people asking in the Q&A tab in Zoom. So I already answered one. Andrew Burke is asking about, tailor-made options that we all, of course, we have, and also to blend or extend the predefined tours. Obviously, if you have targets, just talk with us. And Richard Mayat also asked about that's a question about the country administration. We have the past year hydroelectric uh, problems because we were in a dry season, heavy dry season. Now already we are having too much water, too much rain, so it seems to be that energy issues, we are not going to have that. So now I'm going to go with my presentation.
Just put yourself on mute, please, Byron, because your microphone was just rubbing earlier. So just put yourself on mute, please.
Okay. Wait a minute. I need to put in. Okay. And I have to go here, screen 2, share. Just let me know that you are looking my screen, please. You got right?
We've just got a
Yeah.
white screen at the moment, Manuel. Your PowerPoint isn't showing yet. You seem to be sharing your screen, but it's just pure white.
Okay, wait a bit. Stop
Now,
sharing.
we just had a glimpse of your Marignon spine tail search.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go. And then there is, right? You
Yeah,
have
there
it.
we are. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So good night, everyone. I know that you are around 8, 9 p.m. in the UK. There is somebody also from Australia. Hi. So already Andy introduced me. I am Manuel Sanchez. I am from Ecuador. I am already in Quito, in the capital, but I am from far south Ecuador. So I'm just going to talk to you about birding and trips, trek trips of far southern Ecuador. So this trip is made on the trail of the Jocotoco Antpitta, which is one of the rarest birds in the world, endangered, that mostly of all his entire population, it is in Ecuador. There is a bit tiny population in Peru near the borders with Ecuador. So this trip is going to start already. So first of all, already Byron told you about the biodiversity of Ecuador, where Ecuador is located, so on and so forth. Now I'm just going to take that and just talk about the biodiversity, mainly the bird biodiversity in far south Ecuador. So this is the tailor-made trip. This trip is 12 days. But before that, I am just going to tell you about the diversity of the country. Ecuador is the fourth country with bird species in the world. Already, the Ecuadorian Committee of Bird Records says that we have more than 1,700 bird species recorded in the country. And also, just to reinforce that, we are almost the same size of the Colorado state in the US, or almost the same size of the United Kingdom. Uh, this trip names this bird the Jocotoco Antpitta. This bird was found in the 90s. It was properly described in 1999 by Niels Krab and other ornithologists that decided after this discovery to create Jocotoco Foundation, which is the name of this very beautiful bird that you are seeing here in the screen. So this bird is located in Zamora Chinchipe province in the transition of the montane cloud forest and the Marañón dry valley. And that's why it's rare and very localized in that region. So this trip also starts from Quito. As Andy says, there is a kind of issue in the coast of Ecuador in the far western side. So when you land in Quito, then we have a short flight, half hour, 45 minutes flight from the capital to Loja to Catamayo Airport, which is that province that you are seeing with with this orange color here. So we are landing here. What my laser pointer is. So we land here, and then the birding trip starts. The altitude of all the locations, ecosystems, and habitats that we are going to visit goes from 400 meters to a little bit less than 3,500 meters of altitude. Byron already told you about that sort of ecosystems, paramo grasslands, upper montane forests, dry forests, all these kind of things. I are going to talk about that a little bit more here. So this 12 days itinerary contemplates just the 2 days of flight, ins and outs to the country, the international flights, and is concentrated in 10 days in these two provinces, in Loja, the yellow color one, and the Zamora Chinchipe province, which is the green one. So it's a tour created to share the specialities of the dry forest and the western slope of the Andes, the yellow color one, and the Amazonian side in the far southeast Ecuador, which is the green one. So maybe you ask how many birds you are going to see during this trip. Well, these two provinces share around 750 species between the both of these. So each one has some specialties that is not in the other one because there is a lot of ecological barriers like river valleys, mountains, and obviously landscapes that are present just in the west or on the Amazon side. So which type of ecosystems we are going to visit during this trip? So we have to forget the El Oro province, which we are not going to visit. So we are going to see a lot of Amazon rainforest, eastern montane forest. We are going to visit highlands and paramos, but also these rare ecosystems here, which are the deciduous forests or dry forests of the Tumbesian region. So just to let you know, this is some pictures taken during birding trips. This is the upper montane forest of the Tapichalaca Reserve where the Jocotoco Antpitta lives. This is the Amazon, the southern Amazon of Ecuador. Behind all these mountains is already the borders with Peru. And this next picture, where my laser pointer is just already, is the shrubs and scrubs reaching the Paramo Highlands in the Colambo Yacuri National Park just south of Tapichalaca. So this habitat offers us a lot of chances to try rarities like chestnut-bellied cotinga, which to be described was collected in this region near the border with Peru. Also, you can see this picture, this kind of cliff. This is the dry shrubs and scrubs and thorn vegetation that you can find in southwest Ecuador in Loja province. It's funny because if you see this, the ecosystem is completely dry and different than the two pictures above. But this is just kind of 1 hour driving from Sosoranga in Loja to the Amazon. So it's a transition, it's a fast, rapid transition of ecosystems that we are going to visit. This is a dramatic change, and that's why we are going to see a lot of different species. So this picture is from Jorupe Reserve, one of the reserves and lodges that we are going to stay. And what you are seeing already, those landscapes and the distance is Peru. Jorupe is also located near the borders in the dry forests with Peru. It's a nice landscape and reserve to visit. So, okay, let's talk about why these two provinces are very, very special. What you see here is Ecuador, Loja, and Zamora province, and these purple, violet, and dark colors are the new key biodiversity areas of the country. They were launched in 2024 after a 2 years research and analysis with BirdLife International and Jocotoco Foundation for the country. So you are going to be in very special places, not just for birds, but for vegetation, for frogs, for reptiles, for mammals. So you are going to be in very special places recognized for the world. Actually, this process of key biodiversity areas may be adopted for the new important bird areas in the tropical Andes, but this is something that's still in discussions. And obviously, what also you are seeing these areas with blue colors, these limits on blue, are the endemic bird areas. So are areas where special birds lives there. So we are taking you to visit special places for special birds. Let's start with this. So Byron also already shows you how classy and how good are certain lodges, reserves, the accommodation, the food that we are taking you. So this is one. This is a cabin in Jurupe Reserve. It's just in the middle of the dry forest. Those cabins are really cool, really nice. They are close to the dining room, but you can see it. They are just placed between the habitat. It's the same with Copalinga. Copalinga is already in the subtropics of the Amazon basin, just in the limits with Podocarpus National Park. This is one of the cabins of Copalinga Reserve. So it's very cool being there or just birding for your balconies. You are going to see a lot of stuff just calling or jumping around birds. And this is the Simpson's house, which is the Tapichalaca Reserve, a main house for guests. Also here in this house is the dining room, and there is a cozy place with fire and everything because this area of Tapichalaca is a little bit chilly and cold during the afternoons and nights. This is another picture of this same house in Tapichalaca Reserve. So you can see this deck and balcony. You can be there taking notes, looking birds just flying around. It's very cool during the early mornings and afternoons. Here you can see a lot of golden plume parakeets just going in and out. It's just crazy. And then I am just going to talk about birds. So in this trip, we are going to see around 40 special birds of the Tumbesian region, which is the dry forest. This is one of the goodies. This is the white-tailed jay. All the photo credits are going to be at the end of the presentation, of course. So there is some birds that are going to be very cooperative. You are going to see them, or you are going to manage a chance to get a good pic. But there is also other endemic birds that they are not very cooperative, but they are always very good to try, like these elegant crescent chests that they like to be hide behind all these vine twigs and vegetation. You can hear them more than seen, but in a Naturetrek trip, I managed to get this peak through my scope. So they always offer chances to being seen. So this is two examples of the 40 Tumbesian endemics around that we are going to see. Also, there is other really, really cool species of the Amazon side of the eastern slope that we can try to see it in the Podocarpus National Park and in Copalinga Reserve, like this beautiful coppery-chested jacamar or this white-neck parakeet. This parakeet already is considered vulnerable for the extinction globally by the IUCN Red List. So these guys lives near the Copalinga region, and we are going to try them during this trip. Obviously, there is more. No? There is Ecuadorian tyrannulet, there is lanceolate monklet, hummingbirds, Amazonian umbrella bird, manakins. Then this ecosystem of endemic birds, the southern central Andes, is one of the hardcore ones because there is just few endemics and they live in the upper mountain areas near the tree line, the elfin forest in the highlands. So one of these guys is on the west is the rainbow star frontlet. It's a hummingbird that lives in the transition of the upper highlands vegetations on the west. And this bearded one, which is an endemic bird of this region that we share with Peru. So this one, you are going to see this big bird on Tapichalaca and the rainbow star frontlet. We are going to try this guy in the highlands in Utuana Reserve in the foggy and cloudy highlands of the Loja province. Also, we have another endemic bird area. A very tiny fraction is in the country that we share also with Peru. And in this region, we are going to try Neblina metaltail, which is a bird that we try always on road. There is a lot of birding on road on these nature trek trips. You maybe know that. So we have to try this guy going to Tapichalaca after just crossing the dry valley and reaching the upper Amazon mountain areas. We have to try this hummingbird. And also we have to try this. This is masked mountain tanager, which is also vulnerable to the extinction. And this bird likes those bushy, shrubby areas in the highlands. So these are two goodies already of this tour. Then a tiny fraction of this dry, rare ecosystem that is mostly in Peru reach also the southern part of Tapichalaca Reserve. And there is a lot of around 7 birds that we have to try, but there is one of these, this guy. This is critically endangered already for extinction globally. This is Marañón spinetail. So this guy is one of our targets during this trip. And then also this bird, buff-bellied tanager, which is endemic of the Marañón Valley, and we share it with Peru. So this is two of the examples of the birds of the Marañón Valley that we just have to try driving down from Tapichalaca Reserve. You are not going to believe this, but you will be in the upper cold mountain cloudy areas of the southern Amazon, and just in half hour you can see how dramatically the landscape changed to the dry Marañón Valley. It's just crazy. So this part is not just to talk about issues and conservation, but this part is about why we do these trips with Naturetrek, and we have this Jocotoco system reserves that we visit because they are doing a lot to preserve and protect birds. On the left side, you are going to see this map is the deforestation in Zamora, Chinchipe province. You can see this clear area. This is historically has been clear since the colony, and the Tapichalaca Reserve is just placed here. And here is where the Jocotoco and Antpitta lives, all in all this region. And on the right side, you can see the deforestation in Loja province. So the green already is nature ecosystems. And here, there is not ecosystems, it's just because maybe this picture taken from satellites doesn't take the ecosystem that change in color depending on the season, because these are dry ecosystems. But yes, so what we do with this trip, you can see here is Macara, Jorupe Reserve is located here. Copalinga Reserve is placed here, just in the limits of Podocarpus National Park. So we are visiting all these areas because, as a company, we have a purpose. So the purpose of Naturetrek is support conservation strategies via birding tourism. So Jocotoco Foundation already doesn't work by itself. There is other actors, other stakeholders. That region is already a corridor for conservation, recognized internationally. So there is a lot of things to do, and our visits and your visit helps a lot the locals and the NGOs and local social networks of conservation to work there. The other thing that I like a lot, because I have been guiding birding groups since 2028, is every time we can collect information to support key biodiversity areas or important bird areas with all the data that we do birding with you. So every time we get, we can manage to see maybe breeding behavior, reproduction behavior, certain plants or trees that the birds use, and have new records so we can have information that can help conservation strategies. And finally, these southern areas, because being near the borders, I am from there, obligates a lot of people to migrate to find, an income in big cities, things like that. But when you support local campesinos, countryside people in rural areas to keep their forests and have an income with birding and conservation, they stay at home and they can manage to have some money to survive. So that's why it's good to visit this region. So I have a picture of happy people here. These are Naturetrek groups. The group on the left, He's already in the dry forest near a ceiba tree, very happy after seeing hina-hooded foliage gleaner. And this group on the right is in the Antisan, is on north. Byron already talked about that. But if you check our itinerary, we have the extension, the last day before you go back to home, a short visit to Antisana National Park. So, believe it or not, this group on left in the dry forest is a picture I took in 29, yeah. And this picture is just the last December, 2025. We are starting a new system also, if you like that, that we call it Go Slow Tours. So this is a Go Slow building group. We were checking for spectacled birds. We got a pair of them, Andean condor, these kind of things. And finally, these are the photo credits, thanks to Javier Muñoz, Roberto Cedeño, Thibaut Oronson, Francesco Veronesi, and this is me because some pictures I took during trips with my scope. The artwork of the Jocotoco Antpitta is by Eileen Hall, and the pictures of the lodges are from Jocotours, which is the tourism enterprise of Jocotoco Foundation. That's it. Thank you. If you have questions, it was faster, I think so. But if you have questions, I am here to respond any questions. So let me stop share. That's it.
Thank you very much, Manuel. Much appreciated. And you too, Byron. Yeah, wonderful country. We do a number of different tours in Ecuador. Some of what the chaps have talked about reminds me of why I love the country so much. I think that northern corridor from the northwest cloud forest of Mindo through Papayacto and down to the Amazon. One of the beauties of Ecuador is it's in such a tight geographical unit. You don't need to travel for hours and hours to get from one habitat to another. Just going back to security briefly, the only issue we've ever had in Ecuador in 25 years of operating there is doing walking tours around central historic Quito. We've had a couple of instances of a rucksack being slashed by a razor blade, just opportunistic thieves. That's happened twice in 25 years. So if you're in the historic Quito, just wear a backpack on your front. But out in these birding areas, you're warmly welcome. The hospitality is fantastic. The lodge owners get up at 4 o'clock for eggs and bacon and Ecuadorian coffee, and we're made to feel warmly welcomed wherever we go. The Jocotoco Antpitta trip, I'd suggest, is more of a purist birders tour. That's a kind of a hardcore birding tour, going for a range of localized and specialist endemics, as Manuel went through there. Really exciting tour if you're a keen birder. Some of our other product in northern Ecuador is much more suitable if you go into Ecuador for the first time, or you're a very keen photographer, or you want a mammal watching tour with only limited amounts of birding. We do a mammal tour that goes after spectacled bears, mountain tapir, a range of Amazonian primates, giant river otters, teira, kinkajou, olinguito, etc. So hopefully a bit for everybody. One question that came up was about the timing. Anything to choose between November and January, February? Byron answered that in writing. A lot of our tropical birding tours around the world we will sell during the British winter for obvious reasons. It's been so wet and cold here in the UK this winter. People want to get away from UK when it's wet and dreary and cold. And the added advantage to go into the Andes in those periods, as Byron has written in the answer there, is the boreal migrants, the wood warblers and other migrants coming out of North America to escape the cold will take up residency in the Andes from late October through to about late March. So that boosts the already very extensive local resident bird list. So if anyone else has any questions, let me just go through and see if we've covered everything. Andrew Berg, thanks. You said very early on, can we speak briefly at the end about tailor-made options and the ability to blend, extend? And what I'd say to you is I think the sweet spot for us as a tour operator is most birding tours would be about 12 to 15, 16 days long. But bearing in mind that over £1,000 of your holiday cost typically these days is your airfare, people say, well, once I'm there, can I make the best use of that investment and extend my trip? And there's loads of different options. You can extend to Galapagos, you can do some cultural stuff, you can visit the old city of Cuenca in southern Ecuador. You can go down to Peru and see Cusco and Machu Picchu. There's all kinds of opportunities to extend. You just need to pick up the phone and tell us what you're interested in, and we'll come back with some suggestions. Um, any other questions?
Yes, there is one about
Vaccinations.
vaccinations.
Yeah,
There is
do you
the
want to?
last question about vaccinations there.
Yeah, on vaccinations, the typical ones for South America that we'd advise are tetanus, typhoid, and hepatitis A. It's a good idea to be up to date with those three. I'm often asked, this is one of the most common questions I get in the office, do you need to take malaria prophylactic for Ecuador? And I'll get Byron and Manuel's opinion on this in a second. When I went over to Ecuador as a young 21-year-old, I took a whole supply of malaria prophylactics with me because I was quite alarmed by the advice my local travel clinic had given me. But when I got there, I quickly realized that none of the other young foreigners or the Ecuadorian staff were on prophylactic or had even seen a case of malaria. So, although from a legal point of view, I can't guarantee there's no malaria in Ecuador, I'm sure Manuel and Byron would back up my personal take, and that is I won't take prophylactics. What's your advice, Byron? You live in the UK now. You go over to Ecuador from time to time. Are you worried about malaria?
Not really, and I'm sure Manuel will add something or share this opinion with me. But I'm a big believer. We as you said, hardly ever heard of cases of malaria in Ecuador, and particularly for those tours that are not going below 800 meters of altitude, the risk is obviously way less, almost in existence. I'm out there to say. Um, and down in the Amazon, even down there, I mean, I have, it's, you have to be very very unlucky to pick malaria in any of the lowland regions. I would say in the southwest coast of the Pacific coast, you will get more risks, particularly after heavy rain. And don't forget malaria also, all the vectors and picked are in populated areas with very poor salubrity. So we're going to rainforest, we're going to fantastic natural habitat where this is not the case. Manuel, you probably want to add something to that.
Yes, no, I agree with you, Byron. So you don't, at least for South Ecuador, this trip, Loja and Zamora province, and with the stations to the highlands to check in Cajas around Cuenca for endemic birds there, trying also in the upper parts of Loja and the limits with the Loro province for blue-throated hill star, which is a good option, being on far south Ecuador for an extension. It can be very good. Just that the only risk that you're going to have maybe is to have altitude sickness, maybe, but that's it. No malaria. Malaria is not on the highlands yet. Global warming maybe will be a risk in 20 years, but already montane forests and dry ecosystems are not a focus area for malaria.
Yeah. Just in conclusion on mosquitoes and malaria, just take common sense measures, long sleeve cotton clothing and trousers. Excuse me, wear a decent quality insect repellent. Just on yellow fever, there's no yellow fever in Ecuador currently. In years gone by, uh, they've inspected for yellow fever vaccination certificates to allow entry. That hasn't happened for 15, 16 years. And anyway, in the UK, you can't get vaccination for yellow fever if you're over 60 or
Yeah,
65. So
yeah,
that's
it's
a non-issue currently.
yeah.
Yeah, it's already since this year or last year not required yellow fever vaccination for Ecuador. I went recently
Yeah.
before to go for breeding tours in Colombia, just in January, the end of January. And I was just asking that, and the government told me, no, you don't need vaccinations in Ecuador anymore, so that's fine. So also somebody else asked there about how the sword-bill hummingbird feed his youngs. So there is a publication in the Cotinga magazine, which is published by the Neotropical Bird Club. Naturetrek is one of our sponsors, and that research is published in Spanish. But normally, what a female does is perch above the chick, and with a long bill feeds the small chick. But always the female tries to perch higher than the chick to feed the chick. That's how the female swordbill hummingbird feeds the chicks. So it was published in 2022, but it is in Spanish, but you can read it in the Cotinga magazine.
Okay, interesting, Manuel, how it perches above. Jeremy Kelsey has had a yellow fever vaccination at 73. I'm amazed at that because I repeatedly hear that travel clinics will not vaccinate Brits over the age of 60 or 65. So I'm amazed to hear that, Jeremy. I'd like to know where you got that. Um, and someone else has said they chose to have the yellow fever vaccination certificate at age 70. So maybe it's a risk thing. I think the medical profession say once you get to a certain age, there's risks or side effects associated with yellow fever vaccinations. And maybe in some areas, it's a case of letting you choose whether you want the vaccination or not. But as I repeat, not needed for Ecuador currently, would be for places like West Africa, Madagascar, etc., I think. Now, this is a tough question given uh, the changing climate around the world. Is it wetter in November, December than January, February in terms of choosing a time to go to Ecuador? What we're seeing, Byron, is
I was actually typing a reply to that
we're
question.
seeing very unpredictable weather patterns.
Yes, yes. I will have. I'll have to say, it's like everywhere right now around the globe. It's a gamble with all this climate changing. I mean, we used to have decades ago. We used to have a very well marked dry season and a very well marked wet season, either in the eastern slope or the western slope of the Andes in Ecuador. Now it's all mixed up, unfortunately. It will depend on how dry was the dry season on the eastern slope, uh, and how in order to have a very wet season in the northwest, the same thing applies on the eastern slope, which is all the way around. Now, it's a gamble. I will say sometimes we have very dry wet seasons in brackets. Between October, which starts especially in the northwest, to throughout February, and could be October, November, a very dry start, and then suddenly could peak in January, February. But it could be the opposite, or it could be just a quite relaxed, normal, typical day. A typical day in the wet season is probably dry start with some showers towards the afternoon. Um, there could be a day of solid drizzle, and overcast, but again, it's very hard to predict. That's my my personal thought, really.
Right. Well, I think that's all the questions answered, unless anybody has got anything else they want to quickly type in. It's been a pleasure to be with you all this evening. I'll do a Galapagos webinar at some point in the coming weeks and months to cover that angle of Ecuador. Obviously, a huge draw, arguably the jewel in Ecuador's crown as in terms of tourist revenue goes, and it's a fantastic and unique place to visit. So we'll follow up at some point on that. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining us, especially Byron and Manuel, all the way over there in Quito.
Thank you,
It's been
everybody.
great to see you both. And I'll tie things up now and enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye. Ciao, chicos.